My name is Finn. I'm transgender and bisexual. My coming out story happened in waves. The first time I came out, I was 14 years old. I told my mother I was bisexual. It was a blissfully uneventful thing. She looked up from a paper she was grading, smiled, and said, "Oh, okay, thank you for telling me," and went back to her work. That was it. Simple, yet supportive. At 19, I realized that the way I felt about my gender identity had a name: non-binary. I was quieter about this coming out. Non-binary was a new concept back then. I only mentioned it if someone brought it up. I never cared much about pronouns. They're just words, right? Wrong. Fast forward to 2016. I had just lost my mother to cancer, and the results of the presidential election brought a new kind of grief, one coated in a thick layer of fear and anger. I feared for my friends in the community, for queer youth whose guardians were now empowered in their abuse. I knew I couldn't be ambivalent to my identity anymore. I had to be visible in my authentic self for the sake of those who weren't safe enough to be seen. This meant coming out to the toughest audience on earth: myself. I had to come to terms with that not quite right feeling I'd been suppressing for so long. That sting of self-loathing, like wearing a pair of ill-fitting shoes. That feeling was dysphoria. Specifically with my chest. I couldn't live in the blissful in-between space I so longed for with a boob-shaped billboard screaming "woman." I was in denial for months, thinking I wasn't trans enough to deserve the transition my brain and body so desired. I hemmed and hawed about setting up a consult for top surgery for a long time before finally pulling the trigger and setting a surgery date for August 5th, 2020. After a tremendous amount of support from my spouse and close friends, I came out publicly about my transition. While I did receive some backlash and a few probing questions, I also received an outpouring of love and support from those close to me. My transition journey is far from over, but removing those ill-fitting shoes was the greatest gift I could have given myself. Throughout my life, I've had the privilege of being surrounded by kind smiles and open hearts. I know it's my duty to use that privilege to live as loudly as I can, to fight with every breath in my lungs for the rights and humanity of my trans siblings. Trans lives matter. Thanks for listening.